This story is about a group of 6 cross-country runners who sneak into the Santa Ana Wildlife Refuge in Alamo before dawn to complete a 12-mile run while their coach waits outside for them. It's a story where the narrator feels disconnected from his teammates, dissatisfied with the rut he feels in. He feels like he's sort of in the wheel of torpor up to this point. I had it. I ran past them all. No one protested as I swung my arms in a frenzy brought on by delusions of the rut I was in. Their route was now my whim, and they struggled to follow me as I circled back toward treaded paths and unfamiliar branches glowing with light. I was drawn to the sound of the river that was a border, and a border that was natural in essence, yet unnatural all the same. And there was the river, calm and turquoise, no hints of life anywhere, hidden by encroaching branches and bent-over trees that seemed to return to the land. I stopped. My chest heaved in tune with my mind, pulsing with adrenaline, and I felt like crossing the Rio Grande and disappearing into nowhere. "If you're tired, then don't pick up the pace," Julian said, annoyed. I turned to face him, but in my rush, my eyes caught a shirt thrown across a nearby trunk. I approached it. It was wet. "Haha, watch out for beaners, Tommy," Josh said. Only Russian joined me in my quest to retrace wet spots in the soil back toward an incline leading out of the river, and then follow the faint traces of footprints that were separated by 2-foot-long strides. Bursting into a sprint, I ignored the protest behind me, my eyes on the trail, discovering discarded candy boxes and empty prescription bottles until they stopped appearing, and I was at a loss. Until I saw him. A tall, shirtless teen with a thick bigote stood hunched over, hiding the scar across his chest. His shorts revealed his darkened thighs, not unaccustomed to sunlight. His calf muscles tightened, as if in constant alertness, ready to flee. But he remained staring absently at the 6 sweaty bodies circled together facing him, the singular beaten stranger. "Pinche Tommy," Bean said. Our breathing had subsided. The 4 miles and all the miles we had run meant nothing standing face to face with a true lonesome traveler. After a light tap on my shoulder, Julian ran back through the woods. The pack followed him. I too followed, shocked at the nonchalant encounter, until I realized he was following us. He ran, long legs pushing off the same ground we treaded, keeping a considerable distance away, but still maintaining a pace only conditioned runners could match. Julian and the others had dashed away, pretending they saw nothing, and let the dust left by their soles remain as the only evidence they had seen the team that now neared us, gaining momentum without a sweat, determined to join the solitary band of runners. I slowed my pace, waiting for him to catch up. What was there to fear but a possible escape from this heat-infested land? Would he attack me, steal the shorts and the shoes that composed my identity, run far and away until he was me and I was dead? Laughter erupted from him, and I was sure a mania had burst forth from his body as he exaggerated his arm movements, contorted his face, so his lips pushed forward and his eyes widened. Then he stopped goofing, and then he started up again, never breaking his gaze with me. "Want to run with us?" I asked. A naive hope had kindled in me, and despite the improbability of it all, I hoped he would say yes. But no reply. He just pushed forward, looking back as if expecting me to respond in turn, and I did, extending my stride and quickening my pace until our legs chugged in a silent harmony disturbed only by our breathing. The pack lay ahead. From afar, I noticed how they composed a morphing vehicle of bodies that worked separately for a common good, that is, a physical reminder of human existence that made me take for granted. But its absence can easily demotivate the long-distance runner, stuck in the never-ending step, step, breathe cycle that both prolongs and invites suffering. And here I shared this experience with the team beside me, matching my movements limb by limb, never daring to move ahead or shrink back, content with his newfound position. The long-distance runner never asks questions why, but always asks how things happen, or how things will end up. And I asked myself the same questions until the team suddenly sprinted forward, catching up with the pack. Russian and Julian and Josh and Danny Bear and Beans ran on. They knew, or maybe they really didn't know, about the seventh man in their midst. A new breathing pattern and running gait had to have registered in their unconscious, sharpened only by miles of thoughtlessness. But I realized that it didn't matter whether they thought the team was he or me. He could run with the pack if he could keep up with the pack, and that was that. How he could run like that after trekking who knows how many miles and living off scraps and swimming across that divisive river, I will never know. But I did know he wanted to be one with the world, or to put it in layman terms, one with the pack of runners that provided anonymity, protection, and freedom, despite it not offering any of these things. Of course, I didn't arrive at this conclusion until we ran alongside the scenic road and passed a trolley full of workers and visitors reveling in its shade. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw a transformation in the teen's face. It was done. It was over. The journey had ended, and it was time to go home. I knew this because those eyes betrayed any and all traces of fear. He held his breath mid-stride, but the trolley passed. Only waves from tourists had graced our group of 7 runners, all apparently coming from the same place and going to the same place, all one entity in the eyes of a stranger. The teen's shoulders eased. We turned off the road and into a path that ran alongside a dried-up lake. Its red soil cooked in the heat, as did our bodies as we silently yearned for water and relief from the remaining 3 miles. Where we were headed, I had no idea, and this fact bothered me, until a swell of anger rushed from my head to my feet, and I ran up to the front with Russian and Julian, dominant in my ambitions to take control of this lost vehicle. The teen must have felt the same, for he joined me, and I remained quiet until the urge not to ask was overcome by my curiosity. "Your name?" I asked between breaths. "Jesse," he said, and that was all he ever said. So Jesse and I took the lead, Russian and Julian following, Danny Bear and Josh straggling behind, and Beans behind them, ensuring we stay together. Yet this was the last thought on the rest of our minds, as all we thought was run, run, run. Don't look back. Just move on. Go past that tree over there, and that looks burnt from the South Texas sun, and jump over that fallen branch, and watch out for the dip of the trail, and don't stop. My Garmin beeped mile 10, and against the wall I went, feeling a growing heaviness in my legs and fatigue burning my chest. Everything slowed down, from the birds crisscrossing the laneless sky and the leaves drooping down, and I even blinked and breathed slower, believing the whole world had joined me in my madness until I looked over to Jesse, who ran straight and tall and confident, those lean arms swaying in rhythmic motion, hypnotic to someone as exhausted as me. And I couldn't help letting him gain distance on me so I could watch that body defy time, motion, and the stifling existence we all suffered. The pack stayed with me. I was the new leader, but Jesse was the true alpha, running at least 50 meters ahead, directing our path on his impulse. I questioned none of it. I followed blindly, his movements inspiring my own, knowing that I couldn't quit. And despite the quickening pace, I refused to look down at my Garmin to know how many minutes were left because I didn't want it to be over. If I had known how it would all go after this run, and all our other runs, I would have said, "Don't bury your nose in the books, Russian. It's all worthless. Go find your voice like Julian. Except he found love instead, and not even in Massachusetts, but right under his nose, here in the lowland Rio Grande. And Beans? Don't die, Beans. Go work with Danny Bear. Go make that engine scream. Go follow Josh in his travails with forlorn Mexicans. Remember the miles. Remember them all. And although we will never run together again, my words will never let your spirits die." In the final moments of that run, the pack surrounded me like never before. I was propelled forward by an unexplainable force from the energy emanating from their muscles and mouths. We were 6, but we were 1. Yet we were 6 minds, 6 souls, 12 legs that pushed beyond the limits that the world placed on us. We infiltrated this refuge. We ran the miles the way we wanted to run them. We found someone as lost as ourselves, and we followed him, he who had transcended it all, and we thought nothing. I extended my stride to catch up to Jesse, and in this impossible task I found myself smiling, chasing after a long-forgotten desire I thought I had lost somewhere along the way. I laughed like a child. The trees and trails looked familiar again, and a sign indicated the beginning of the Malachiti Trail up ahead. The fence appeared in the distance, and as we slowed down, Jesse sped on, heaving his whole body onto the wire, until he climbed up and out and ran past Coach Austin's minivan and toward the rest of Texas. "Who was that?" Coach Austin asked us while we climbed over. "Jesse," I said. "He can run." And that's all he ever said about that day. Now, whenever I wake up early enough to see the sunrise over the Rio Grande Valley, spot a long-distance runner hiding in its shadows, in his eyes all that road behind and beyond him, suddenly gone, as if my gaze could pierce diamonds and pick his soul out and deport his dreams, I remember Jesse, who could have been Jesus for all we knew, and I look the other way. Thank you.